Today is another episode in our review series where we score cigars from 1 to 10 based upon the draw, the smoke that it creates, the flavor and taste profile, the ash and burn line, and ultimately the price. On the docket for review today is the Rocky Patel Vintage 2003 Cameroon cigar. I'm super excited about this one because as I was researching, Cigar International rated this in their top 25 back in 2017, and Cigar Aficionado has given this really high scores. What's interesting is this cigar has a Cameroon wrapper, which I wasn't sure what that was. I've heard about other wrappers, but I have never heard of the Cameroon. I may have had a few in the past. When I researched it, these leaves are actually grown in Africa in a small country called Cameroon. And what's different about it is grown where there's a lot of cloud cover. And whatever happens there, these leaves tend to be very small and super, super thin. And because of that, they're very hard to wrap, to use as a wrapper for the cigar. So not a lot of cigar manufacturers use the Cameroon wrapper, but Rocky Patel is one that uses it for this vintage 2008. Upon investigation, I've heard that it gives a sweet taste to it, as well as a spice as well. So I think we're in for a treat. Let's light her up. Let's let it rip. Before I light it up, this cigar has a little bit of a sweet smell to it. On the cold draw, can definitely taste a little bit of cedar. Tiny spice too. Oh. This first couple of puffs, I can still taste the cedar. There's a strong earthiness actually to this first couple of puffs here. I'm not really picking up the spice that I read about yet, so maybe that'll start to develop itself here shortly. But man, I do like the smoke on this one. This has got some good smoke. I'm wondering if I'm going to have to even out any of these lines here in a little bit. May have been me with how I lit it today, though. This is a close-up of that Cameroon wrapper, which again, I think what I've read is that there's only a few makers out there that are using this right now. Arturo Fuente, the Hemingway series, and Don Carlos lines are using it, also Perdomo, and then this. The cigars, though, what I read is that when they use the Cameroon wrapper, they tend to be a little bit smaller, which this is not the case. I believe this is a Robusto, so probably about a 5.5 inch, 50 gauge, which I don't like them to be much smaller. If I want a cigar, I want a decent sized cigar, although smaller ones are good at times too. Well, here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to get well into the first third and then come back and let you know my thoughts, and I'll be back in a second. So I'm still in the first third, and at first, this cigar was tasting really bitter to me, almost like a really dark licorice and super earthy. I'm a little bit into it now, and that is really mellowed out to have this subtle sweetness to it. The cedar is coming through, earthiness is backing off a little bit. What's really great is the burn line is pretty solid, and the ash is fantastic. I'm not having any issues with this dropping yet. Now, as I finish up the first third, the burn line has been fantastic. I am starting to get more of that sweet flavor with just a hint of caramel. That's interesting. As I'm smoking this tonight and just relaxing, I was thinking about how I got into cigars. A friend of mine invited me over to his house, and we were sitting around a campfire, and he handed me an acid Cuba Cuba, one of those sweet cigars. And he taught me how to cut it, toast it, light it. And what I didn't know at the time was that was going to set off a love and a hobby for the world of cigars. And that night we just sat around the campfire talking about life and just being two dudes smoking a cigar, not a care in the world. And what I learned was that it slowed everything down. And that is one of the things I love about this hobby. So I'm curious, in the comments below, what was your first experience with cigars and why did you get into it? Now, under this Cameroon wrapper is a Nicaraguan binder, and the fillers are Nicaraguan and Dominican. Now that I'm into the second third, I can certainly taste the sweetness coming through. It's certainly not overpowering. And if I just sit here and allow my tongue to really feel what's going on right now, I get a light spice, but I really have to search for it. When I was reading up on these Cameroon wrappers, I really thought that, not that it was going to be overly spicy, but I thought there was going to be a little bit more spice to it, give us a little bit more of a complex flavor profile. It's there, but just not as strong as I thought it would have been. Here's what I like about this cigar so far. It is medium body, but it's not overly strong, and it's an easy smoke. So if you are a beginner and just getting into cigars and you're trying to maybe step out of the sweet cigars, that's what I got started in. I got started with sweet cigars, the acids and so forth. This Rocky Patel Vintage 2003 Cameroon is a nice step in a new direction in terms of opening up your palate to try some new things. And if you're relatively new to cigars, I would suggest this one as maybe an early starter. And if you've been around for a while and been smoking cigars for a long time, you'll certainly appreciate the complexities of the taste in this cigar. Not overly complex, but enough things going on where it really is enjoyable. And because it's medium body, this is a great cigar for any time of day. If you want to smoke one in the morning with some coffee or later at night with a lighter bourbon. Right now, I've got mine paired up with just some unsweet iced tea. I love unsweet iced tea, and that just seems to go really well with this cigar. I was researching on YouTube to see if there are any other cigar reviews on this particular cigar, and interestingly, there's only a handful, which is unfortunate because I think some of the cigar reviewers are really missing out on this cigar. It's just a nice smoke, and I tell you what, I'm well into the second third, and I tell you what, I'm kind of sad that this experience is going to be ending soon. I'm getting to the end of the second third, and I'm getting this creaminess coming through, and certainly a little bit of coffee and cinnamon, which is interesting. Not overpowering, but really good. So we've been hanging out for a little bit today. Would you do me a favor? I'm trying to build this channel, and I would love for you, if you like what you see, like the video and subscribe to the channel, then turn on those bell notifications. I'd really appreciate it. And if you've had the Rocky Patel Vintage 2003 Cameroon, let me know what you think in the comments below. I am well into the last third, and the taste profile has gotten a little stronger. That subtle sweetness has completely disappeared now, and I'm really getting tastes of espresso and really dark chocolate. I can tell why this has been such a highly rated cigar by Cigar Aficionado and Cigar International. Definitely a solid cigar. The price point on this, I think I bought this for right around $10 at my local shop. You can get them for about maybe $9 online. So overall, a very solid cigar. I'll give this score an 8.1, and that is it for today. Thank you so much for taking the time to watch this video, and until next time, peace.